Hey, you there. Thank you for watching, and welcome to Force Lines Forever. Today, I have a 5v5 custom match here on the most amazing Neuroxys map generator. So let's go ahead and introduce our teams and our players, starting off with Team 1 in the Northwest, ending with Team 2 in the Southeast. Starting off with Team 1, Southern Plan, working our way northward in Ruby Red. We have Dimitri 11 going first land as a Cyber, and he is a 2000 rated player. To his north in Glow in the Dark Green is Nightly going first land as an Aeon. He is an 1800. And working our way, continuing on northward is Red Visimosa going first land as a UEF in Emerald Green. He is an 1800. Definitely will not confuse myself with him not being red and calling him red. To his north in Orange color, Orange is Pepe's going first land as a UEF as well. He is a 1200. And to his west is the highest rated player on Team 1. It is Drimmer going first land as an Aeon in Regal Purple. He is a 2100. So for Team 1 side of the map, they have 2 UEF, 2 Aeon, and 1 Cybern, which means Team 1 lacks Seraphim technology. Starting off with Team 2's northern player, working our way southward in Amethyst Purple, we have Control K going first land as a Cybern. He is an 1800. We'll see if he does Control K in this game or not. To his south, we have a lightish red-pink Bellarone going first land as a UEF. He is a 1700. And in Rust, to his south, is the Aeon player of Fur going first land. He is a 1700. In Barbie Pink, to his south, is Non-Nerd Power going first land as a Cybern. He is a 1500. And last but not least, for Team 2, the highest rated player on Team 2 and in the game overall in Imperial Grey is Testo going first land as the one and only Seraphim of the game. And he is, again, a 2200. So for Team 2 side of the map, they have 2 Cyberns, 1 UEF, 1 Aeon, and 1 Seraphim, which means Team 2 has all of the factions represented in this game. And for 10 players on the map, let's take a look at how much reclaim they have to scoop up. Currently sitting at 31,000 reclaim mass in reclaim, which means it's 3.1k mass per player to scoop up. And it is, I mean, it's dotted everywhere, but there's only really a couple 300s and 200s in the middle. Most of the mass does reside near the edges of the map, specifically the 4 corners, where we see 1,000, another 12, 1,300 right here, another 1,000 over there. So there's going to be a mad dash for the edges of the map, and there is a decent amount in our players' main bases, that being near the plateau right next to both Pepe's and Drimmer for Team 1 along that cliff edge. And in terms of mass point layouts here, talking about Team 1 side of the map, there's a Quad Mechs down here as well as another one to the west. Another one right next to Nightly. Another one right here next to Red Visimosis. And I think that... oh, no, there's one right here in the middle of Red Visimosis right here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Quad Mech positions for our players to scoop up on their side of the map, as well as a middle Twin Mechs surrounded by a couple of hills, it looks like. So not really the flattest map in the game, but definitely not the most mountainous at all. We already see some gun upgrades started here for Team 2's player of Furfur. And with that, let's go ahead to see where the rest of the players are headed off to. We see there's a mad dash for the players near the edges of the map to go for, well, that reclaim and the Quad Mech positions that do exist over here as well. We see, of course, Dimitri undeterred so far by Team 2's Non-Nerd Power not heading westward. You see he's going to have no contest so far, while in the northeastern corner we have both Pepe's from Team 1 and Control K for Team 2 rushing for this Quad Mechs position. Again, there is 1,300, let's say 1,700 mass right here, another 1,000, and then almost another 1,000 up there. So about 4,000 mass in reclaim just here. So our players definitely want to get access to these northeastern and southwestern corners. We don't see as much emphasis for Team 2 on the southern side, but there's a lot of emphasis, obviously, at least on the northern corner, with as well Drimmer and Team 1's Red Visimosis moving eastward to cut off any sort of reinforcements that Team 2 might start to brew in that direction. Gun damage range has been started for Bellarone. He'll finish that here pretty shortly. Gun range is on the way as well for Furfur, already completed that, and speed upgrade. But even though that Team 2 has gone for the early upgrades, It has given a lot of time for Team 1 to try to expand out, get their comms on the front lines, get those early mechs under their control, and being able to, again, scale their eco. Advanced ranged upgrade has been started for Fervor. He's going for full Aeon Sniper Commander. He may go for the shield next if he's going to go for all those upgrades. But again, this is slowing down the advancement of Team 2's expansionary efforts. We do see that Testo is moving westward, the only one who has chosen to do so far, and he's the one further back in this corner. We do see that the gun upgrade has finished for Veleron, moving to the middle of the map, with Team 1's comms already there. But in the north, we do see Control K getting in a facility online. We do see Pepe's is nearby as well, but he'll soon be joined by Drimmer, and kind of sort of soon joined by Red Visimosus, who's actually moving southeastwardly, cutting off the reinforcements for Control K, essentially isolating that player in the northern side of the map. Nice little lab over here going after a quad mech's position, just taking out 8 mass a second with a very low-cost unit. It's going to take a little bit to kill off all of those mechs for that one unit, but again, even if it gets 2 of them, it was worth the price of that unit alone. We do see that, of course, Dimitri following suit with his mirror of Control K in the northeast, establishing a frontline facility. We do see now Team 2 exerting pressure on Team 1's Dimitri 11. We are seeing that Knightley is shifting his focus a little bit more south. We're actually going to send his comm directly to assist. So everybody on Team 1 has left their main bases. Team 2, we still have both non-nerd power and essentially Furfur. He's kind of, inched his way over a little bit. His advanced range upgrade is almost done. And Testo actually shifting more and more northward direction, possibly trying to cut off Knightley's reinforcements, moving into cover for Dimitri. Dimitri going for his gun upgrade. Lots of gun upgrades early on in this game. Speaking of which, another one on the north side for Pepe's. We do see that Drimmer is here to assist as well. And Control K has fled the scene, not wanting to be surrounded, noticing that Red Visimosus is moving into his main base. Veleron does have the gun upgrade on board, and Red is pushing fairly far into Team 2's territory. And with a gun comm nearby, with him not having a gun, that's going to put him at a huge disadvantage. And it does, of course, cut down the reinforcement time significantly, being in the middle of Team 2's base. And once the comm of Control K moves into intercept, it's going to be a 2v1 with one gun comm. And that is only going to favor Team 2, and the shots have been fired upon one another. It is Veleron versus Red. Red focusing on going after the hydrocarbon power plant here, assisting the air facility. I don't know if this is the best thing to use. He's trying to cripple his opponent's power generation, but this early in the game, it's not really that much of a huge concern. You can see that Control K, he doesn't have any power, so you can't really do a whole lot. But there he goes. Red is killed off by Team 2's Veleron, and is now a 5v4 in favor of Team 2, with everything that Red owns going over to Drimmer, or possibly even Knightley. But Knightley is facing down the Aeon Sniper Commander of Furfur with no upgrades on board, and that's an Aeon Commander as well, which means he'll be put out of range quite significantly, and he might just be walked down. You can see Knightley trying to get out of range, but it is a wider ranged comm. You can see he's barely on vision. He can kind of figure out where he is just barely by the shots, but Furfur's back in range. You can see the comm of Knightley. Knightley is not getting out of range anytime soon. That's going to be a walk down here. He's trying to build a land facility to try to stop the pathfinding and slow Furfur down just a little bit. It's not going to be enough, unfortunately. It looks like it's going to be a kill here for Team 2 once more. It's going to be a 5v3 here pretty shortly. Furfur is really blitzing down that commander of Knightley, dropping him down into the low yellows, almost to the reds. T1 PD trying to be established to assist with that. Hopefully he doesn't walk into it. He does walk around it. Furfur goes, okay, I think I've forced him back enough. Reinforcements starting to circle Team 2's Furfur. He starts to retreat, and again, they are T1 at war. They're pretty weak, so not really any concern in that regard in terms of being out DPS'd or out hit points, meaning like there's so many hit points on the units for Team 1 total that it doesn't really matter. Speed has been started for Knightley's commander. He is in the red, and Furfur is continuing his assault. He's going to blitz down that Team 1 PD emplacement quite quickly. That range upgrade should have been started first, not the speed upgrade. And Furfur is going to kill off this Team 1 PD and continue walk forward at 90% in climbing here for Knightley. He needs to get out of range immediately. He's going to go for a range upgrade as well. That might be his death if he continues to go for that upgrade. Knightley continuing to just get bombarded by Furfur. You can see the engineers are now the targets of Furfur's range. Knightley is back into the yellow, but that range upgrade would have benefited him at least a little bit more than the speed upgrade. And Furfur does retreat. And in the south, Dimitri is killed off by Non-Nerd Power. Non-Nerd Power just walked him down, essentially. So now it is a 3v5, not the comp that I thought would die, but it is a 3v5 in favor of Team 2. Gun speed and range has been started for Control K in his base, and Belleron pushing forward on the northern side. It does cut down on the APM quite significantly here for Team 1, and this could be a 2v5 before 10 minutes here for Team 2, putting them in a huge advantageous position just with APM alone, let alone the position that they currently sit on the map. T1 PD trying to deter Furfur, and Knightley going to cancel that upgrade once again. So that's 2 upgrades he's had to cancel. All of that mass and energy just wasted, unfortunately, here for him. He has to retreat to his main base. And now Team 2 will just steamroll the southern side of the map and move northward. You can see that Team 1 hasn't pushed in eastwardly as much. 2 of the 3 remaining comms for Team 1 are on that northern side of the map. Belleron essentially holding off those 2 commanders' forces quite nicely. Germer, of course, is the air player. He's focusing more on his T3 air facility that he now has online. Team 2 only has T2, which does put Team 1 at an advantage with air. But with all the gains on the land side of things, I don't know if that air facility that early is going to make a huge difference, at least as big as he probably hopes it's going to be. Range upgrade has been completed here now for Knightley. Will he go for advanced range, or will he just sit with that? Looks like he is going to push forward. Furfur is at 2-star veterancy, sitting at 7,200 hit points versus Knightley's 0-star veterancy, 3,500. I don't think it's wise to push in at this stage. He needs more shields around his commander, some asylums, just to assist with getting in closer to that comm of Furfur to try to blitz him down. Unfortunately, here Knightley is going to engage, and Furfur, do you see him? No, you see a radar signature. He doesn't know what he is, though. He could be any of these units, but Knightley moving in. Furfur getting stuck on some wall sections, and shots are fired on Knightley's commander. And it's just going to be a 1v1 here. Blazes come in to intercept as well. Will this be enough to close the distance and kill off Furfur's commander? He's dropping below 6,200. Knightley falls back. More units on the case here for Furfur to assist with defensive measures. And it's just a back and forth. T3 gunship online, a restorer going after Furfur's commander. Doesn't really have a lot of air-to-ground weaponry, but can at least slowly damage the comm at a minimum, which is better than nothing. AA on board will deter all the interceptors. Team 2 does have T3 air online, but just completed it. It's going to take a minute or so to get some ASFs online. Gunship has dropped into the yellow just due to all the AA nearby. It's a lot of T1s, but again, that's better than nothing. And T1 AA also being built in static form as well, trying to go after Furfur's commander. Just the weaponry on board that Gunship isn't really a lot to boast in terms of air to ground, which means he's just getting destroyed. Gunship will have to be pushed back, and Furfur will live to fight at least a couple more minutes at a minimum. In the north, tactical missile has been started but paused here for Pepe's. He has gun and gun and T2 on board. Belleron has gun and T2 as well as Control K's gun comm, facing off against the units outbound from Knightley on the northern side to assist with Pepe's defense in the north. Germer still holding position in that little base up there. But Team 2 has almost entirely grabbed the southern edge of the map, and shield has been started for Furfur's commander. Will he finish it? T1 strikers trying to make their way forward. A lot of AA here, not a lot of PD. And we do see a couple of Aurora underneath some shield coverage. Shields can go straight to Knightley's commander. Strap Bomber over the top will go after Furfur's commander. He finishes the shield upgrade, takes a hit, but will survive. Has 8,000 more additional hit points on board his commander in terms of shield hit points. And that will stave off death for even a little bit longer. And again, Furfur's being very aggressive here. He's teetering between the middle yellows for a long time. Bomber gonna fall back, but being really kind of chewed up by those interceptors outbound from a lot of players on Team 2. We do see a nice little ASF online. Team 1 has obviously more ASFs, and that's the only strap bomber. Gunship over here as well. ASF moving in, going after that bomber. Will get shot down, unfortunately. The bomber will survive, going to land on a nice little air staging facility to rep up its hit points and refuel We do see that Nightly is forcing, falling back once again due to Fervor continuing to push forward with that first shield upgrade on board. I mean, Restorers online, not really that useful. I mean, it's better at T1 units because they don't have as many hit points, but bringing in some Spectres and some T2 variants would be a lot better off. They have a lot better air-to-ground weaponry in terms of how much DPS they do per second. The DPS per second, the damage per second. Anyway, Tactical Missile has been restarted once again in the north, 50% on the way there. Stealth has been started, and Featherbone going for a nice frontline fire base in that northern section of the middle. And kind of all of the main action has kind of died down except for this push outbound from Fervor, because Team 2 does have essentially control of the southern edge. And it's really allowed Team 2 to kind of take it a little bit slower. Team 1 is severely on the defensive, losing 2 of their commanders before 10 minutes. And we'll see if they lose a third one if Nightly dies to Furfur. Furfur being assailed once again by that Restorer. But again, as shown before, it's not really going to do a whole lot. And just feed Furfur's veterancy. He's now at 4 stars, which means 40% additional hit points. And more blazes are coming in to intercept that commander. Asylum's assisting the protection of the comm and other units. Furfur's shield is starting to drop, but he's now at 15,000 base hit points with an additional 8,000, so 23,000 in total. And T1 bombers overhead, and now Spectre gunships making their appearance here for the airplay of Drummer. Going after Furfur's commander, you can see the hit points just fly off that commander now. His shield is depleted, Blazes moving in. Furfur going after Nightly's commander. As long as Nightly stays above 2,500, he will be fine. Furfur's dropping quite quickly here, 7,000 hit points and falling. Nightly has to stop pushing or he's going to get caught in the blast. He's at 3,200 hit points and falling. Furfur in the red, sub 1,800, sub 10,000, sorry, 10,000, 1,100. There he goes. Couldn't even count, couldn't even read properly with how fast he got blitzed down. It is now a 3v4 in favor of Team 2 still. But Team 1 has now gained a point in terms of comms killed. And it looks like Team 1 will set their sights on non-nerd power in the south. Destro will inherit everything that Furfur owned, and that will only jumpstart his air production facilities even further with his air facility starting to be expanded upon. Drummer not really focusing on air power as much now. He went for those early bombers and a couple of gunships and kind of just slowed down a little bit. He's going more for eco, it looks like, 175 versus Testro's 160. And that's dual bases versus dual bases. We also see Nightly sitting at 115 with his dual base. But Pepe is doing a very good job with his singular base. But at least singular main base sitting at 130. Total mass per second. Team 2 slightly ahead than Team 1. That's definitely to be expected due to the map control that Team 2 has over Team 1. Reducing in the north, Pepe's and Control K fighting about something. It's a Cybern v UEF. Definitely the traditional, this rivalry there. One says you can never say it right. I always want to say symbiotes, but symbiote, S-Y-M-B-I-O-N-T-S, symbiotes. I have to listen to that cutscene again from the campaign to figure out how to say it again. But they're having some discussion about if they should be free or not. Control K dropping below 50% of his hit points. Pepe's going to fire a missile trying to lead. The target will barely miss, I think. He might have clipped him just a little bit, but we do see some gunships inbound here from Drimmer with some ASF protection, and this will be the nail in Control K's coffin. Will he Control K to kill off the gunships? They'll die in the explosion anyways, but Pepe's is dropping below 9,000 hit points, gets a rank in veterancy, so gets back up to 12,000, and there he goes. Team 2 loses another player here at 17 minutes, making this an even game at 3v3 at 17 minutes. 40% of the player base has died so far before 20 minutes. Will it be 50%? We will just have to see. Nano repair has been started on board. Non-Nerd's power will save him obviously getting some regen on board as well, give him a little bit more of a buffer. Blazes pushing in here against these rhinos. Actually, the pillars, and blazes, not just blazes. Pillars fighting some rhinos. We see some ASFs fighting over the top here in the blast zone that once was Furfur. ASF fight is won by Team 2. And Team 2 actually started later in that ASF production game, which means Team 1's, again, been focusing a little bit more on other endeavors. Bellarone now sitting at almost 200 mass as well. And both teams staying relatively within 20, 15 or so mass per second. So their ecos are staying, relatively on point with one another. Unfortunately, Team 2 now has air control. 18 minutes isn't too bad to lose it, but definitely getting airlocked is not going to help situations here for Team 1's airplay of Drimmer. You can see ASFs flying over top here, trying to kill off any ASFs that do remain. I'm trying to just, again, force Team 1 into a very annoying situation, build some AA, essentially what he's doing. It's an interesting tactic of doing that because that essentially kicks in the response of, oh, let me build some T3 AA. And then if Testro sends in some gunships or whatever, it's like, oh, yeah, that's right, he built AA because I sent my ASFs in earlier, which he wouldn't have built had I not done that, so maybe I shouldn't have done that. But then I can lock out his air for a little bit, which means I can do other and it's just this whole, like, rock, paper, scissors thing where should I do it because he's going to respond this way, and that's when you start, overthinking the situation possibly. But we see in the north, Bellarone has held his position, and missiles are outbound from that Pepe's commander going after Nexus over here, it looks like. They're only T1s. There's one T2, but most of them are on their way to being upgraded. Some of them pretty close. That's 69% and 67 and 20%. It will strike on the T2 mechs. So that's 6 mass a second. And that is, it's not a lot of mass, but, it's a chunk every second, and it really hurts as time goes on, of course, especially losing those T3 fully ringed at 27 mass a second. Non-nerd powered is down here, 4-star efficiency, working his way to a 5th and final one. Lots of T2 units and some T3s now online here for Nightly in the middle. Drimmer focusing, again, a little bit more on land production than I think he would. I feel like Nightly should take control of this base just because he's right there and Drimmer's all the way up there. And he's focusing on air, but maybe he just wants the extra eco to assist with producing said air, which is fine, but I just feel like with the land player being right next to your base on the front lines, you would probably just shift that over. That's my 2 cents about that. In the southwest, ASF building up here with some gunships here for Team 2. We see some Spectres outbound from the Seraphim player. Not Seraphim players. Yeah, Seraphim player of Testro. He's not even producing his own faction's units. That's really interesting. I didn't even notice that till now. Where is his comm? His comm's over here. Yeah, he is. Okay, why is that? Is there some, advantage to Aeon, ASF, or gunships or something that I don't know about? Maybe he wants T3 gunships. Maybe that's the case because Seraphim doesn't get T3 gunships, so maybe, but yeah, I don't know why that is. I feel like I've seen a lot of Aeon players for air slots lately. I don't know why that is, but it's interesting that a Seraphim player would get Aeon Tech and only build Aeon Tech, essentially. He has some Seraphim, mexes, but everything else is Aeon. Very, very surprising there. Anyway, there's my 2 cents about that. In terms of the game overall, both teams have lost 2 players. Team 1 losing Dimitri and Red. Vizimosa's Team 2 losing Control K and Furfur. Control K did not Control K in this game. In terms of map control, definitely favors Team 2, but we are seeing a lot more pushback here from Team 1 in the southwestern sector of the map. If you haven't done so already, please let me know down in the comments who you think is going to currently win this game. And, of course, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so very much for watching. Let's go ahead and see what this missile launcher nonsense is going up here in the north. Bellarone getting some clean cameras online with a lot of Vipers mixing in UEF and Cybertech. Love, love, love to see it. Restorers are inbound with some Spectres as well for some air-to-ground weaponry superiority. Lots of flak going to push those Spectres back. ASFs moving in to shield some of those gunships. And Team 1's Drimmer positioning his gunships behind the flak. We do see the Percy's pushing forward here, going after the defenses here for Team 1's Pepes. Pepes has that missile launcher come on line somewhere. There he is. He's retreating at the current moment. Looks like he's going to move in, but this fire base is going to go down in smokes. Unfortunately, the more superior, more shielded, more missile launcher mobile base, the Team 2 is going to outperform Team 1's. Laser was canceled on non-nerd power. Maybe that was an accident. Maybe he didn't mean to click that. Maybe he meant to click cloaking or something. Who knows? Anyway, we see a large outpouring of engineers specifically here for Reclaim for Nightly, but a lot of Harbingers as well making their stage appearance in the South. Team 1 and Team 2 sitting at essentially the same amount of mass per second. Reclaim essentially the same amount as well. Both of these teams very much, in lockstep with one another. Air power definitely in favor of Team 2 ever so slightly. Team 1 is losing a lot of territory, so that does go to show that even though Team 1 is losing or is on the lower side of how much territory they have, they're staying in concert with Team 2 by upgrading all of their mechs, which is nice. The downside is that eventually Team 2 will be able to rocket past them as long as Team 2 can continue to hold the territory that they have. We do see those restorers moving in, going after the Harbingers. Lots of T3 and T2 AA down here. Dreamer's ASF sitting here waiting. Well, we're going to see Nightly get bombarded by gunships, or will Dreamer's forces assist with protection efforts. Laser already 50% completed for non-nerd power. We see those bricks and Harbingers moving in here for Nightly. And maybe those were transferred over from Dreamer, I don't know. But Nightly pushing in against this mainly T2 forces. A couple of Loyalists in the mix, so some missile redirect systems on board. Laser at 70%. Either he cancels it now or he stays the course. His forces at this point might as well just engage to slow this push here from Nightly. Nightly does have a shield on board, and it's the regular, not the heavy shield. It only has the range, not the advanced stuff. And it's only 80% for non-nerd power. I think he's going to stick with it. He doesn't want to, have to build the upgrade, or essentially finish the upgrade once again by wasting all that mass and energy. His gun open fires. Harbinger's in range. There go the hit points quite rapidly. 90% on board. I think he finishes it. Oh, no, he does cancels it. So there he goes. He could have canceled it earlier and fled, but maybe he was distracted doing something else. I don't know. But that is a kill here for Team 1, dropping this game to a 3v2, now in favor of Team 1. So as Team 1 gains territory and kills off another player in the South, Team 2 pushing in on Pepe's position in the North. So many Vipers on lines. A couple of Percys come in and go, hey, that's a nice little duck hunt going on over there. Let's go deal with that. Every shot kills off a unit. Not a lot of AoE on that weaponry, but just enough to make a small difference. You can see this unit sitting on top of the other one, doesn't even get any AoE, very surprisingly. See in the northwest air grid being expanded upon here for Dreamer. Same thing here for Tester. Wow, he is really expanding that thing. Look at that. He also has some shields planned. Love to see that. Would like to see more than just the one that you have. But at least he has one. Not even covering the mass extractors or the T3 air headquarters, just this section. Interesting. Looks like he's going to build Colossi here pretty shortly. And that army here for Nightly pushing in. A couple of bricks, a couple of Harbingers, one shield, decent amount of AA. I love the mix. Moving in some bricks. Actually, these are brick and Loyalist forces holding position. One little Restorer gets a couple shots in and goes, nah, it's not really worth the flak. See some PD being slowly creeped down here for the South for Testro. It looks like the forces are shifting a little bit in that northeastward direction. Is the comm going to move in? I think the comm's going to retreat. Going to hide back there. Doesn't want to engage just in case he can get sniped, which is possible with all these Restorers sitting here. Even though it would take a while to chew through the shield and hit points on board, it would do enough. And it looks like the forces for Nightly do just retreat. They're like, that's not really worth it. They've gained the territory, at least killed it off for Team 2, cut off a little bit of their mass income. Team 2 is still in the lead, but just barely, again, keeps hopping back and forth depending on reclaim or power generation or whatever the case may be. These two players should be fine on power, though, because of all of their other teammates building their own power and then just essentially taking it for themselves. Oh, I need to click Observer. Yeah, I was like, it's not clicking over to the regular view again. This base up in the north does hold position, or does hold strong, and a couple of Percys move into this base for Team 2's Velarone. There's a lot of T2 PD here. I don't think it's going to be enough. A couple of missile launchers as well. Not a lot of T3 units, not being zero. Not even Titans or anything in this mix. Velarone looks like he's focusing... I don't know what he's really focusing on. Oh, that's what he's focusing on. A Colossus is online, possibly donated by Team 2. I didn't really see the message or not. Probably not. He has his own Aeon facility, so I would assume that's built by himself, and this firebase does go down, but those Persies are in for a treat as they're going to get vacuumed by those two giant arms and laser of the Colossus. Gunship production in full swing here for Drimmer, as well as ARAS and T2 on board his comm in the water. There's a tiny bit of water on this map in each of the four corners. Tiny bit. Very, very tiny. I mean, I could see how much tiny. I mean, his comm, I mean, it gets pretty deep down there, but you can see that's kind of the vertical assessment. I think Strat Bombers can still AoE on that comm, just barely though. If he gets down there, he'll be targeted by anything but Torp Bombers and Donuts. We do see that the ASF is shifting over to the eastern side here for Testro, moving in to shadow that Colossus. We do see that the Colossus is pushing back. The inverted laser, of course, making its appearance once again because it is a snow map, because you wouldn't really see it if it was the blue color that it normally is, which I do appreciate the developers for doing that because it makes my job and view a lot easier, because you're like, oh, and players probably as well be like, what is it targeting? I can barely see that blue tint. We do see that the ASFs are positioning, restorers are moving in, and again, both Aeon Air Forces here, so those restorers on both sides of the conflict make dividends just due to the 6,000 hit points and the AA on board. Currently, Testro sitting at 118 plus 12 gunships, so 130 we'll call it. And I should have selected Drimmer on that. In terms of ASF, 97 plus 16, so 113 for Team 1, so a little bit behind Testro, but not too bad. Essentially, that comes to one good engage. The gunships and ASF have fallen back, and that allows the restorers to start to poke and prod at the Colossus, who's at 1-star veterancy. Will Team 2's Air Forces take the bait? Restorers are pushing north. We're getting underneath some AA coverage. And will it be enough? Air fight does not commence. It was just barely out of range. Oh, no. Okay. They're both, it was very, very close. Had those ASFs pushed in a little bit more northward, it would have been enough for the air fight to engage. There was a couple of T3 AA positions over here to the north, and Testro's like, nah, it's not worth it. Not worth it. Land armies being built in the south. Monkey Lord online. Colossus was killed off at some point. Looks like that's probably Testro's. And Team 1 will inherit that reclaim there. Team 1 sitting at 1.2k income versus Team 2's 1,000 mass income. And Colossus is pushing in against this firebase once again. Gunships are moving in, and they want to poke and prod those ASFs. Do the ASFs engage and just call it? Oh, they want to commit, but they don't. There is some flak in this mix as well, and some T3 AA as well, so maybe they're waiting for those forces to get a little bit closer. Colossus still pushing in. Most of that AA has been taken out. A couple of groups of Perseus to the west, and some Titans as well. I feel like once the Perseus engage, I think that's when the air fight will commence, but we'll split the screen just in case this fight happens. I'll just put it right here so we can see what's going on over there in the south. Monkey Lord and T3 and other units pushing into the east. Group of bricks holding strong. Colossus standing there waiting to engage. Team 1 again a little bit more focused on claiming and upgrading what they have down here. Not wanting to push super far in. They don't want to overextend and then be destroyed. It's kind of like if you've ever played Risk, where you have a large army and you go from territory to territory and just like destroy everything in your path. But then you're left with a bunch of 1s and 2s in those territories, and then somebody else comes in and does the exact same thing and just steamrolls you. So it's definitely one of those, you expand, build, expand, build, expand, build, and then you kind of follow that pattern. Essentially what Nightly, I think, is doing. It doesn't look like the air fight's going to happen anytime soon. Very unfortunate. The Colossus does make inroads and continues to push westward, though. I feel like Team 1's Pepes is just luring this Colossus into a trap. He wants Team 2's Veloman to push in as far as he can and then just wipe him out in one shot. The gunships, if you notice, are actually almost behind the Galactic Colossus in terms of positioning westward. You see vertically, you can see they're right on that line. If they moved a little bit eastward, they'd be behind that Colossus. Colossus is going to shift northward. And those ASFs and gunships are almost perfectly positioned to intercede between that Colossus from Velaryon and the ASF and gunship horde from Testro. Very interesting. He's not sending them back here. Looks like there's a group of engineers sitting up here building AA emplacements, because why not? It looks like a scatter shield's going to be built for some stealth. And that Colossus, unfortunately, they're Pepe's. I hate to tell you this, but they're moving northward, and it's going to see you in about a couple seconds, and that's not going to feel good. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. He sees those ground colorations that structures get when they're built, or when they're being built. But Colossus now online for Nightly has shifted it northward, not sending it southward to assist his land army down here. The Colossus in from Team 2, now another one from Testro, adding to that force, is forcing Team 1 back. Crab is online. I do feel like Drimmer is building forces and then transferring control over. I feel like that's what's happening, because all of these are the glow-in-the-dark green. There's a couple of purples. Wow, that's a lot of fire beetles. I got to remember that for later to see if those are actually get used, because sometimes they're built and they're never used and they just kind of just get killed. But now we see that Team 2's Velaryon is falling back with that Colossus. There's a second one online for him, and maybe he's trying to wait for them to group up and then go directly for that Colossus. But a Fat Boy also online, and the Restorers are still here for Drimmer, just waiting to engage. ASF's doing the exact same thing here for Testro. Both those Air Forces are just there. They're not doing anything. They're just waiting for the other to make the move. It's like a staring contest of playing chicken. Just whoever engages first will loses, essentially. And that Colossus has now engaged one another. Fat Boy gonna essentially walk right into that second Colossus. That's not gonna feel good. Percy's gonna get shot before they group up with that Colossus. This one is gonna get destroyed. Possibly before this. Oh, no. Well, now not with the inclusion of this one. Percy's focusing on this Colossus and not that one. Asylum's trying to shield, but unfortunately the shield is not tall enough to help with that, and the shield does fall offline just because the energy has been depleted. And that first Colossus for Team 1's Nightly has been destroyed. Both of these are in the yellow, but they do 100% of the damage even at 50% or less hit points. Air fights still not happening here. Restorers slowly inching their way in. I think they're going to make the move. There's not a lot of AA around these Colossi, so they're going to be free to engage. ASFs are moving in. Team 2 is going to take the bait. Team 1 pulls back the gunships, and Team 2 pulls back their ASFs as well. Oh, Percy's moving in. A little bit of damage is better than nothing. Ravagers being built up north. We deal with those. Colossus moving in, trying to do as much damage as they can. Looks like it's about a Ravager creep going down from the north. We're going to kill off the first Colossus. There it goes. Second Colossus in the yellow and falling now at 4-star veterancy. Will it hit 5 before it dies? It needs 4,000 mass. Yeah, it was that the first time. But that Colossus will get killed off, unfortunately, dumping a decent amount of mass. Essentially in no man's land at this point. The Restorer going to get shot down by those Restorer and ASF ball here from Team 2. They don't want to engage one another. Lots of flak for both teams. Again, it's just playing chicken up there, playing a staring contest. Who will flinch first in the south? 1 monkey, 1 crab versus 3 Colossi will only go one way. Crab walking back as we speak, and Testro notices this and goes, I'm going to take that bet. Let's go. Sends him in. Are there any more Colossi being built on the way? No. That one's built and just kind of sitting there for now. Kind of in reserve. SMD being built. Air grid being expanded upon. You can see the different strategy here. Drimmer using the natural environment. Unfortunately, that kind of hampers his building ability, and Testro does not. He just takes a little bit different approach. And it's like, I just want as much land as I can. Just expands outward. Colossus does get destroyed. Second one as well. Crab is about to go down, but I think Team 1 will take that trade. 2 Colossi for 1 crab, and then a monkey will deal a decent amount of damage to the Galactic Colossus, and the third one at least. I think this is enough bricks to assist the Colossus in dealing with the rest of the forces here from Nightly. We see some fire beetles moving in. This might be it. The fire beetles might be moving in. And you see those little cloaked little bugs moving in. They have little like skittering noises, and one of them actually gets grabbed. Does he explode? He actually does explode. He actually cuts down the travel time for those fire beetles. Oh, that's gotta hurt. You're like, oh, I'm gonna crush this thing. It drops in, explodes. Like, I don't like that. Don't do that. Fire beetles falling, the rest of them falling back. That was a good attempt, though, here from Drimmer. I don't think I've ever seen a Colossus grab a fire beetle, have it crushed, land on its feet, and then explode and deal damage to that Colossus. Team 1 is falling back. Team 2, again, now going to rebuild what was theirs initially earlier on. Another Colossus online for Velarone. Fat Boy online for both teams. I think that's actually a Fat Boy, so excuse me. 2 Fat Boys online. And then a Colossus is going to be built here pretty shortly. But 1 Fat Boy versus 1 Fat Boy. There is some shields here for Team 2. There aren't any parashields for Team 1. The reclaim is the more important thing here for Team 1's Pepe's. Team 1's currently sitting at 100 and almost 40,000 versus Team 2's 90. Total Master Crude is in favor of Team 1, as partly due to the fact of that discrepancy, but also due to the fact that Team 1 was in the lead a little bit. More mass per second. Colossus pushing in. Fire Beetle's also exploding around that Colossus. The Monkey is almost online if it finishes. I don't know if it will survive long, but at least it will do something for the bricks, at least. It will kill off the rest of the forces. Restore is moving in. That will definitely finish off the Colossus. ASF Horde is moving in, and here's the first air fight of the game. Here goes the fight. ASF's moving in. Monkey is destroyed. Colossus at 30,000 hit points and falling, and it's just an absolute monstrosity going down here above this Colossus. It's on Team 1 side of the map, though. So all deaths will be, and all the reclaim will be on Team 1 side of the map. Now it's just chaos. There's no just, giant balls circling one another, but Team 2 absolutely annihilates the forces here from Team 1, and those restores are not enough to kill off the Colossus at 5-star veterancy, sitting at 149,998 hit points, not even 150,000, can't even get those 2 hit points, and it's sitting at 20,000, repping up 135 per second. Large mass in reclaim over here to the southwestern section of the map. Also another large section over there with that crab and Colossus down there. Currently the map sitting at 250,000, enough to build anything in the game and then some. Fat Boy pressure in the north. This Fat Boy is going to get destroyed by this Fat Boy here from Team 2. This one is severely wounded, less than 500 hit points. Barely gets away, and that one is killed off, unfortunately. Again, it is on Team 1 side of the map, but it's still dead, so it's one of those just, there's only so much you can do about that kind of thing. And that Colossus is might get back in the yellow here pretty shortly if it lives a little bit more longer. We do see that Knightley has another Colossus online here. That will destroy this one. ASF sitting here. How many ASF does Tesco have? 281 ASFs. That is a lot of ASFs. Team 1 sitting at maybe 50. Oh, even less than that, 16. That is air supremacy and then some here for Team 2. He doesn't have to worry about much, but, might have to worry about this, though. Laser is online for Pepe. He's going after P-Gens, going for that cascade effect. And this is a prime example of why you don't do this, because it's going to explode. Shields are coming online, though. Testro is quick to respond. That might be enough to save some of his air grid. Maybe not all of it, but at least a chunk of it. Colossus is destroyed. Knightley coming in to assist as well with his commander. Needs to get that heavy shield and advanced range upgrade to help out just a little bit more. He'll fire back at least a little bit further away, so he's a little bit more safe. But Bricks ignoring the Colossus, continuing to pressure in for those T2 and T3 Mechs. Fat Boy Fire in the east, pushing back Pepe's once again, but he is holding strong. Again, that reclaim is still favoring Team 1, but Team 2 is catching up at 155,000. Oh, I didn't mean to select that. I just meant to select the reclaim little icon. Not Colossus. Emissary has been started. Colossus standing next to it. That's why I was saying that. And that's going to be built decently quick here. Team 2, what's your response to that? Oh, that's a response to that. How many of them on screen? 30, just 22. Just 22 bombers, because why not? How many does he have in total? 23. Okay, so almost all of his bombers built at one time. Second laser is online, going after an exposed P-Gen. It will do some damage to the shields, won't break it though. And he needs to shift it down here, go after these 2 P-Gens right here. They're exposed. And more air facilities. An armway shield is about to be built by those engineers. They need to make their way around the nonsense that is the air grid. ASF's completely just destroying every opposition that Team 1 has. Bombers are inbound, but they're flying through a decent amount of AA. Whatever remaining ASFs that Team 1 has are being sent on this crusade. They want to stop this bombing run, but it is not looking good. They are inbound, and there they go. The bombing run has commenced. Cascade will commence here pretty shortly. There it goes. Oh, kills off a chunk of the air grid and a decent amount of the power. Not a lot of AA remains. Some of those bombers fly off screen. The emissary has been pinged by Team 2's Testro saying, hey, there's a thing there, go after it, or somebody did. And there go the bombers once again going after targets. No. Oh, shield is online, kills off a couple of engineers. Bombers hover bombing, waiting. Another shield is built. Will it be enough? Emissary takes some shots but doesn't get stopped. And then, oh, there's another bomber inbound. Is this going to be enough to stop the construction of the artillery? No, but the shields do go down. Another bomb inbound. Oh, the shield is barely online. So the emissary has taken damage. There's one bomber up here hanging out, but Niley is defeated by Testro. Looks like he was walked down by multiple Colossi, and that is now a 2v2 game here, tied up once again. 40 minutes on the clock. The air grid has suffered significantly. All the pigeons are up in smoke. Cascade just going in a counterclockwise fashion. This one should be targeted. This one should be, well, that one will get that one. So target this one. The lasers from Team 1 are just enough. More bombers are inbound here for Team 2's Testro, going after the satellites, building here for Pepe's, building on some cracks. I definitely would not recommend building on those cracks, though, because you might fall through the ice or snow or whatever the thing it's made out of. I'm assuming not air, that snow, dirt, probably underneath. I don't know what's underneath this snow-covered environment. Anyway, Titans and Purses pushing into the artillery base being built by Team 1's Pepe's. That's another FAF is going to be built here pretty shortly, and land incursions are going to be harder and harder to happen. But at least in Team 2's favor, at a minimum, the air grid is severely diminished for Team 1, so it's not a complete air victory for them, and the ASF count does favor Team 2. And they have some strat bombers as well, but with having no air, not great. And all of these lasers going after the mechs here for Team 2 should be targeting those mass FAFs to do a little bit of AoE damage to the actual extractor in the middle. You see a Colossus pushing in, killing off all the T3 mechs down here. A couple of PD have been built. That's not going to slow the roll of Team 2's Testro. Team 2 sitting at 1.3k. Team 2 also at 1.3k. Strat bombers moving in, going after the FAF boys. Shields are still online because the primary shields assisting that base took the brunt of that attack, and more shields are being built to protect them. Third satellite is almost online. They've actually switched production and going for another FAF boy. And it looks like everything transferred over to Team 2's Velarone. And it looks like Testro goes, you know what, I'm done. I did my job. I'm kind of done with these lasers. So I'm just going to call it for myself. Leaving Velarone alone, 42 minutes and 23 seconds on the clock. And now it's the search for the last remaining comm on Team 2's side of the map. And I believe they have found him. He's building a Duke as we speak. And that's going to put a lot of pressure on Velarone. Again, it turns from an annihilation game to an assassination game. Team 1 kills off Velarone. That is the game for them. Team 2, all they got to do is kill off 2 commanders or just force them to quit. Either or. But look, at this point, it's more going to be a kill thing. Restore is moving in. Messages in the top telling me there's experimentals built. The Fat Boy has been built. The Novax is going to be restarted, or at least built, continuing to be built. A couple shields will be enough to stop the couple of lasers, but again, what's the energy production? Oh, it's negative. That's not good. If the shields fall offline, the emitters will be targeted, and that'll be the comm. He's balancing his eco, trying to do the best he can to turn stuff on and off. Sometimes it's hard to do on the fly because there's so much to micro, especially with just everything that's online for him. He's sending in forces on the western edge. There's a lot of engineers just scooping up as much reclaim as he can. There is still a ton of reclaim on the map. Obviously a decent amount in the main base. 380,000 and climbing. So far total mass reclaimed 450,000, making its way to over almost 500,000 mass. Let's see, we have engineers pushing up as just trying to reclaim as much as they can. Colossus also pushing in as well. Lots of engineers being sent to the front to reclaim. In the north, Emissary is still being built, but it is obviously severely wounded. Colossus is the main production. He's kind of just holding off on that, rebuilding his air grid, needs to get his shields online. Duke under construction now. And that third satellite is online. And I think I know where it's going. The satellites have punctured through some of the shields here for Velaron. He's trying to hold out, building a line of T2 shield diminished to just protect himself. It is not looking good here for Team 2's Velaron. Colossus versus Colossus having a fight about something. And there goes that here for Team 2's Velaron. I think he's just suffering from the fact that there's so much going on. He's trying to micro everything. And his APM is suffering. Subcom Brain is definitely set in here for him. With a third satellite, that's going to be enough. And that's going to stop everything here. It's going to kill him off. Velaron at least is a little bit away from the shield, so it won't, the pigeon, so it won't cascade on top of him. But I don't know. His main goal should be to take out those satellites. That's what a direct threat to him is currently. Where are those strap bombers that he had from Testro? Did those get killed off? I don't see them anymore. Possibly got killed off. Air grid being re-expanded upon, trying to again save his power consumption so he can keep those shields online. He's still negative, but he's working on it. And we have more Colossus moving to the front line as well. Colossus moving in, speaking of the front line, in the middle here, going after whatever they can. Needs to be sent to go after those Novaxes up here. Team 2 probably know where they are. They do know where they are. Probably should be sent after those. Colossus moving into Colossus producing facilities over here. Fat Boy online all the way over here for Pepe's. He has one all the way over here for some reason. And there goes that Colossus. We could see an evac order be given here for Velaron. His shield grid is still falling. He's trying to keep that online. PGen standing next to that. Not a good idea there. Ooh, if you reclaim it, you might save yourself some damage. Does not. He drops to 12,000. Needs to get underneath shield coverage, and those satellites are actually focusing on the shields being built to protect that commander. And it's just going to be a slow demise here. All of Pepe's focus is essentially on this, trying to micro that as best as he can. Which, to be fair, if he does succeed, that's the game. That's a game one for them, so might as well focus on it. The Eastern Front essentially died down. The Western Front's just engineers. I feel an evac or control K given by Velaron here pretty shortly, just due to the fact that there's really nothing left. He doesn't have, you know, anything in terms of large groups of experimentals. His shields fall offline. There goes his pigeon. Oh, yeah, it's all negative. There goes the shields. He's done and dusted. There he goes. Once those satellites focus on him once again, that's the game there. 46 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock. At this point, I'm going to speed it up just ever so slightly, which means it's +1, not +2. And Velaron is targeted by those satellites. There goes the slow. Demise well played. Beep. I'm assuming that's supposed to be a W, but it's a V. And shield's trying to be built, but he doesn't have any power to power them, which means there he goes. Last remaining player on Team 2 has been destroyed, and Team 1 wins the game at 46, almost 47 minutes on the dot. Pepe's won, says Red. I might have to agree with him on that. He held the North quite nicely. I mean, there was a lot of pushback back and forth. Notney in the South did a great job in pushing Testro back, and then Testro pushing back as well. I feel like if Testro was able to push into this territory, it might have been a different story. The satellites coming in and killing off the air grid was definitely one of the nails in the coffins here for Team 2. It essentially was like, okay, Testro's like, I'm done. I'm done. See you, bye. But he left because of that. I mean, it wasn't because of pigeons or anything. He's just, his SMD went down. His shields were going down. He's like, you know, I don't really see this going my way, so I'm just going to leave. Which sometimes I understand that you're just annoyed and frustrated. You're like, I'm done. But sometimes it's nice to stick it out to the end, which is what Velaron did. But I think Pepe's might get the MVP just because that was the game-winning move of going for the satellites, taking out the air grid, essentially incidentally forcing Testro to control K, and then going after Velaron and killing him off as well. Drimmer did a very good job with air, and there was a long time where air was just defunct. It was just Testro had his air forces sitting waiting, and Drimmer had his air force sitting waiting, and they just didn't do anything for about, I think it was like 15 minutes. They just waiting for the other person to move. And then Testro just absolutely destroyed him. And at that point, I feel like he could have engaged sooner. He would have had more losses, but he would have gone for the bomber sooner, would have taken out the air grid sooner. Things possibly would have been different, but I don't know. It's just one of those what-if scenarios. Let me know down in the comments if you think Testros should have sent in his Air Forces sooner, and if so, would he have won, or would his team won because of that? And again, if you haven't done so already, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so very much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I will see all of you in the next one.